Where is God? Have you ever wondered that? Is God some old man with white hair and a beard up in the sky, taking notes, writing down your sins of commission and omission? What do you believe? And I'm not here to tell you that whatever you believe is wrong or right. I'm just here to get you to open your mind and to think about that question. Where is God? Who is God? When I was young, I used to think, how can God watch everybody all at the same time? How can he do that? Seems rather impossible, doesn't it? What seems to make more sense is maybe we are created or evolved in such a way that we self-correct, kind of like a self-correcting typewriter. We don't have to cause blood to flow where needed. We don't cause perspiration to come out when we get overheated. We don't cause the shaking, the trembling to occur when we are afraid or when we get cold. These are all what we call automatic reactions. But there's a power within us, something that causes this to come about. And you've all heard stories about people doing amazing things when they were afraid or when something had to be done. The woman lifting the car off of her children, these impossible feats. But when the adrenaline was released or whatever it is, all of a sudden we had superhuman strength. Or we've heard of the war heroes being shot many times, bleeding, should be dead, and yet they save many, many other men. These things seemingly impossible deeds people accomplish through some power that normally we don't have. So where is God? I believe God lives in each and every one of us. Now, am I saying you are God? You could look at it that way, but I don't mean your conscious mind. There's a part of you, the God mind, God's Spirit, the Holy Spirit, some people call it, the Spirit of God, that lives in each one of us. And somehow this is connected to God, the universal mind, infinite intelligence. What does it matter what name you call it? And it seems to me, and what has been taught throughout the centuries in most major religions, if not all, that it's a force for good. And if we continue to do good, this power will help us to accomplish seemingly impossible things. Although is anything impossible? Many of the things we take for granted today would have seemed impossible 100 years ago, and yet we do them easily. We think nothing of it. How did we accomplish this? By opening our minds to the possibility that the old ways of thinking and the old ways of doing were wrong. Now, am I saying that the universal laws, the laws, God's laws are wrong? No, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the interpretation of for example, let's say this, an angry God. How about not an angry God, but a God who created us in a way that if we do what they call sin, if we make a mistake, for example, let's say we lie against our neighbor and he gets in a lot of trouble. We're made in such a way that we just as well have lied to ourselves and got ourselves in trouble, because we cannot harm another without harming ourselves. But the reason people don't go by this, you reap what you sow law, is because it doesn't happen immediately in the manifest world, in the world of vision or reality. So we think we got away with it. And we may have got away with it in regards to the laws of the land, but you can never get away in regards to the laws of the universe, or God's laws, if you like. The time will come, the day will come when that thing will come back on you, because you truly do reap what you sow, or what goes around comes around. What you put out there comes back, usually multiplied. Excuse me. But as I said, it happens sometimes the next day, the next month, the next year, maybe 5 or 10 years down the road. And so many people forget the good deed they did years ago that has come back to them, or the bad deed they did that has come back to them. And so many people will blame someone else instead of looking within, because everything emanates from within you and from me. You somehow were brought here today to watch this by something within you. You were drawn here to listen to me, and I was drawn here to speak to you. There's the unseen realm, because what is seen is transitory, what is unseen is eternal, or is always here, always existing, with no beginning and no end. Have you ever been laying down, taking a little rest, and you kind of drift off into sleep, but you're not really sleeping in that half-awake world? And these thoughts come in. Now, you didn't purposely think these thoughts like you would if you were trying to add 2 + 2 = 4, or I think I'll wash the car. Do I have the money? Do I have change? Do I have tokens? No, these thoughts just come from seemingly nowhere. And some of them can be pretty crazy. And you're like, where did that come from? These thoughts exist in the unseen realm for eternity. And what is eternity? Eternity is right now. Because if you believe eternity, the definition is forever, then right now is a part of forever. Where do you choose to live in eternity? In heaven, a created heaven, a self-created heaven, or a self-created hell, by not living by the universal laws, by not living by God's laws. And I'm not talking about religion. I'm talking about treat others the way you want to be treated. What you put out there comes back to you. Gravity is a universal law. But these laws can be overcome not by evil doing, but by using the unlimited power that God has given us, that lies within each of us, the God power, if you want to call it that. And I'll say, there is a God. He's not you, nor me, but he lives in you. I and the Father are one, but my Father is greater than I. I is this ego mind, and I'm not saying the ego is bad. So many people want to say the ego is terrible. We got to get rid of it completely. Were it not for the ego, we may not have survived. We may not be alive. We definitely wouldn't have progressed to using tools and weapons. Maybe that would have been good, right? We're always trying to think of ingenious ways to eliminate our neighbors or our enemies, as we call them, or as the government tells us that these people are our enemies. But this God mind that is in each of us can give you all of your heart's desires, which your desires are God-given. But so many of us push them down because we have been programmed by the world to believe that we have to follow this certain program. You go to school, well, nowadays you go to daycare, you go to school, 18 years. And if you go to college, it's what, 24 years? Let's say a couple of years you're not in daycare, but more than likely you are nowadays. You have been programmed to follow the leadership of women, to submit to women. Now, if you're a man, you are supposed to be a leader, not a boss, not a tyrant, not a dictator, a leader. And what does a good leader do? A leader leads by example. But yet you've been taught to follow women. This is contrary. This is opposite to nature. And nature always wins. I could go off on a whole video about that, but what I'm saying is you've been taught to submit, to comply, not just by women, by men and higher authorities also, and not to freely express yourself, not to follow your dreams, your desires. I'll give you one example. In school, And I'm not telling you to rebel against authority, although sometimes you may be better off to do that, depending on what authority is telling you what to do. I'm telling you to follow the dictates of a higher power, of your conscience, of your moral compass. What do you believe you came here to do? You know what it is. You just have to do it. Everyone, not everyone, most people are going to tell you you can't do it. It's like school. For years and years and years, they've been telling people that if you don't get a high school education, you will never get a good job, i.e., you will never be successful. I didn't graduate. My father didn't graduate. He was very successful, what was considered success in his time. I've done fine without a high school education. It's not for everyone, but yet they program you to believe that if you don't have that diploma, you cannot be successful in life, which is a lie. Now, they don't purposely do that, but they too have been programmed to believe by a system of governments and committees and people together that this is the only way, and that if someone does it by not doing it that way, they are exceptions. And what they're also telling you is you can't be an exception. You can't be exceptional, but you can. You can. You've got to take the limits off of yourself, because you and only you are limiting yourself. The limitations you have today are the ones you accepted by the programming of your culture, your society, your religion, your family, whatever and whoever it may be. But you have accepted them. They have been given to you from the time you were a child. Now, deep inside you, you know that the truth is you are unlimited. But this programming is powerful. But you can deprogram yourself the same way you were programmed. And I'm not saying there's some evil sect out there or some conspiracy that everybody's trying to get you to be a cog in the wheel, although it seems that way sometimes. What I am saying is you have a choice, once you grow up, to follow the dictates of a higher power, to follow the dictates of your desires, which were given to you by God. You came here to express that. And until you start expressing it, you will never be fulfilled as a man or as a woman. So many people, and I've probably done it too, go along with what society tells them to be. Society tells them to do. Go to work, save for retirement, retire at 63 or whatever, and then end up in a nursing home. Is that what you want? Do you want to spend your life looking forward to the day that you're going to retire? How many people never make it? And then what? Or do you want to spend your life in heaven or in eternity enjoying yourself? And as I said earlier, if eternity is now, then why not enjoy the present moment, which is eternity? How many people live their life for when they retire or when they get to heaven? Now may be the only heaven you ever experience. Sure, there may be something more wonderful when we pass on. Usually it is, because it's change, and we're very much afraid of that because we don't really know. But right now, in the present moment, you can experience heaven. You can experience hell also. I've experienced both. I'm sure there's something better than the heaven I've experienced on earth, but this is pretty good. And I'm sure there's something worse than the experience of hell, separation from God, from people, from humanity, I have experienced in this life. But if we take care of today, even Jesus said, don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. Sufficient for the day. Today, the present day, is its own evil, its own problems, its own worries, its own concerns. Don't borrow trouble. You got enough right now. When you have fear or worry, it's the same thing as faith, except it's the polar opposite. It draws to you what you're afraid of. Just the same as faith draws to you what you desire. Emotions are involved in both of these, fear and faith. Try the best you can, and it can be done, to keep your mind on what you desire and off of what you fear. And what you desire will be brought into your life by the help of a higher power, by the help of God as you understand God, your own conception of God. There may only be one God. I really don't know that either. But there may only be one God. But we each see God differently. We each see God through the filters of our life experiences, which is evident by all the different religions we have. And so many of the religions think they're the ones that are saved, as they say it. Well, the proof is in the pudding. Does your religion help you today? Does your religion give you peace? Does it give you confidence? Do you have faith? Do you have trust? Do you know that everything's going to work out when it seems like, by the evidence of your senses, everything is going to hell and it can't get any worse? If you have trust in your God and you have belief in whatever religion you choose or choose not to choose, the trust of God is what gives you the power to feel and know and believe that everything's going to be okay, that it's all happening for your own good. And you need this because the day will come in the life of everyone when no matter what you do, it all falls apart and goes to hell. And you may try to do something again and again and again. And instead of making things better, it seems to push away what you want. The results are opposite of what the efforts you're putting into it are trying to achieve. And when you come to the end of yourself, what do you reach out to? You reach out to that which you said you didn't believe in before, to God to help you. And God is there to help you, as He has helped me many, many times. But there's a vast difference, a vast chasm, a great gulf between believing in God and trusting God. It's easy to trust God when everything's going great, you're getting everything you want, you're being blessed, your wishes are fulfilled. But what about when it's the opposite? What about like in the story of Job, when everything lost his kids, his family, his lands, and then he lost his health? He was a miserable wretch, as I would have been too, were I experiencing what he was experiencing. Can you have faith then? Can you have trust then? I don't know if I could have, enduring such pain, suffering, and agony. But that's when the faith really works. And that's when you gain strength of character, integrity, and even more trust and belief in God. And what happened in the end of the story of Job was he was blessed with twice as much as he had before. And if you can get through these times of difficulty, suffering, disbelief maybe, distrust, and just hang on, the light at the end of the tunnel will eventually come to you, and you'll get through it. And in the end, you'll look back and realize that you gained important life lessons: integrity, character, strength, and you have more of an ability to help other people. And people will see you differently because you got through this situation, and they don't have to know anything about it, but it raises your, I could say it raises your consciousness. It enhances your character, your being, your who you are, and your power and magnificence will precede you. Many people want that. Many people want to walk into a room and have people realize they're there. They want people to feel their power. And I'm not talking about the power that dominates people, manipulates people. I'm talking about the power of your presence. When you walk in integrity, you're a man of character, you're a man of strength, and all these things come as a result of going through these dark times and doing the right thing, doing the next right thing, and just putting one foot in front of another. And you come to the end of this trial or tribulation or situation or difficulty, And you come out on the other side a stronger, more powerful, more conscious individual, able to help other people rise up as you were never able to do before, because you yourself have risen. For in fire gold is tested, and worthy men in the crucible of humiliation. Maybe you've been accused of something you didn't do, some terrible crime, some terrible thing. I've experienced that. And people lied about you, and you wanted to lie about them. You wanted to fight fire with fire, but you didn't do it. And the more honest and the more integrity you displayed, the more honesty and more integrity you displayed, the more they lied and the more they seemed to win at the time. And you think, what's the use? I'm doing all the right things and nothing's working. I'm not getting what I want. But the reality is you are getting what you want, because deep inside of you, that God part of you wants you to be stronger, wants you to be more of a man of character, wants you to be more of a man of integrity. And it's what you want too, but your egoic mind wants to strike back and fight back and destroy these evildoers. But that's not for you to decide. Vengeance is mine, says the Lord. I will repay. And I've seen that happen time and time again in my life and the lives of others. These people who tried to destroy me for the last 25 years, and fortunately for the last 5 or 10, I've had peace. The only troubles I've had were those I created myself. And I probably created those before myself too, but I look at the lives of these people, and there's quite a few of them, 5 or 6, who purposely tried to destroy me. And I have empathy for them because they're miserable. It's sad to look at them. Even though at the time they were flourishing like a green leaf tree, a green olive tree, I think is what they use in the Bible, at that time, and I was just scraping by and trying to make it, trying to keep myself out of trouble. Now, God has blessed me abundantly. I have a wonderful life, a wonderful family. We're all healthy. The business is great. I get to do this. I get to talk to you guys. I look at their lives and I have empathy for them because I see the results of their, I don't like to use the word sin, but I'll say sin, of their mistakes. And it's okay to make mistakes. Everybody's going to make mistakes. Everybody's going to sin. Sin is just a mistake. But do you learn from it? That's the deal. And they have not learned from their mistakes yet. Hopefully they will. But if you can learn from your mistakes, then you can rise up above these situations. And it's not you that will do it. It's that God part of you. It's God in you. That's the only God there is. There is no God apart from you. Well, I don't really believe that. There's a God in you, in me, and in everything. If God is everything, then he's in all of us. He's in everything. So I do believe God is in me, but I also believe God is in you and in everything. I don't understand that. As I said earlier, I don't believe we have the verbiage to fully describe an omnipotent God. Maybe someday we will, but I don't believe we do. But I believe man, through the religious texts, has done the best he could to describe God with the terms and words and the vocabulary that we have to do that. All right? I hope this has been of value to you, maybe helped you. My ideas are mine alone. I'm not telling you that you have to believe this way. I don't expect you to believe this way. I just throw this out there for you to open your mind that there are many ways to worship God, to believe in God, and you don't even have to call it God. But that's up to you. But I do believe one thing, that God and good are synonymous. They're similar. And I have God's power, and God uses me, and I can use God's power whenever I do something that is worthy of notability. I like Earl Nightingale's definition of success. Success is the progressive realization of a worthy goal or ideal. We all have a moral compass. We all know what's right and wrong inherently. So if you have a worthy goal or ideal, God in you, in me, and in everyone, He will draw those people to you and create situations and circumstances to bring you to that desired end of what you deem to be success. But remember, success is now. It's not the destination. It's a journey. That's all I got for today. Thank you for joining me. Thanks for listening to the end. Hit that like button, subscribe, and I will talk to you soon. Take care.